Hey there guys, welcome back to your brand new Flick Pick Live show. I might be changing the name of this live show to maybe just Flick Live. I don't know. I'm not quite sure yet, but either way, thank you so much for joining me once again. So much to talk about and a lot of caffeinated beverages to consume. And with all of that, this is it. Don't get scared now. The first thing I want to talk about today, and I guess it's the biggest piece of movie news this week, is Morbius has been delayed for the 28th time by Sony, and I don't think... Well, personally, do I care? Not really. But let's talk about the reason it was delayed. Maybe the reason, maybe the possibilities. There's some speculation from my brain I want to spew out to you guys. And I want you guys in the comment section, let me know two things. First of all, do you care that Morbius was delayed? And secondly, why do you think it was delayed? So originally, Morbius was supposed to come out in July 2020. Then it was delayed to October 2021. Then it was delayed once again to January 2022, which would have made it come out this month. And I was like, okay, it's a January movie. There's nothing else to do in January. Let's go see it. And now it's been delayed once again to April 2022. Now, right now, if you guys have noticed, if you've stepped outside of your front door, you might have noticed there is sort of a pandemic going on right now. And that could be one of the reasons. And this is nothing new. When it comes to Sony, they've delayed other Sony properties such as like Venom. They delayed Venom 2 multiple times, and that came out last October. And the thing about Sony is I have not had faith in a Sony comic book film since probably Spider-Man 2 back in 2003. Because everything since then has not been that good. So, yeah, and if Venom is what they have up their sleeve, if that's the best comic book anti-hero they can put out, that's what they're capable of doing, a soulless movie that just feels like it was made in 2004, I don't know how people are enticed or excited about watching Morbius starring Jared Leto. I mean, let's face it, the last time Jared Leto was in a comic book movie, well... it was called Suicide Squad, and I thought that was an abomination against humanity, and that was one of the worst portrayals I've ever seen of the Joker. And then I guess technically speaking, he did show up once again for a cameo scene in Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, which was slightly better, but it was more of the same. So I want to know why you guys care or don't care. We have a few people here. We have Hayden saying, we have Balloon Raccoon says, I do not care about Morbius. Not many people do. And the fact that they're delaying it again, it only kills any hype and momentum this movie had going. I think this is a terrible decision by Sony. So there's two reasons they might have possibly been delaying this. Now, the first one, like I mentioned, there's sort of like a new... I can't say the term on YouTube, but there's something new going on with the pandemic, which I guess terrifies some people. I just don't let people sneeze in my face. I feel like life will be okay. So that could be one main reason. But then again, we just had Spider-Man No Way Home come out, breaking every box office record there is. And if Sony was smart, what they would have done is capitalize on that hype and rode that wave of success into January, capitalizing on it for Morbius. Because everyone's talking about Spider-Man, it's huge, and you have Morbius who's connected to the Spider-Man universe, so it only would have made sense to come out in January. Now we're pushing that back 3 more months, and that just kills all momentum, all hype for the movie. And if you didn't already give a shit, well, now you give less of a shit, or at least I do. So those are my quick thoughts on the Morbius delay. I truly feel like maybe they're just delaying it. Here's my speculation. And if they were smart, they would do this. If they could add more Spider-Man-esque stuff into the movie, maybe a few cameo scenes, maybe nothing huge, but just a few references to the pre-existing Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, or at least reference Spider-Man No Way Home, or somehow reference something. That's what gets people talking, that's what gets people excited, and that's what would give this Sony separate universe of anti-hero solo movies a little more hype in the long run. Because eventually they do want to Sony does want to capitalize on all these solo movies with Venom and Morbius, and Kraven the Hunter eventually, and eventually make that Sinister Six movie, which probably won't be that good, but do I want to see it? Yeah, kind of, sort of. So maybe they're trying to tack in more stuff for the movie before it comes out in April, but I still feel like 3 months is a really tight deadline to fit all of that in with it actually making sense in the long run in the movie and not just feeling like a tacked in after credit scene of some sort. But then again, it's Sony. Anything's possible. I mean, they're the same studio who put out Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So yeah, feel free to share your thoughts and then we'll dive into the questions. we have one here from Darkside Master who says, John, Morbius is released in April Fool's Day. That would make sense for a movie like this. Will Venom appear in the MCU? Well, he technically already has if you watch Spider-Man No Way Home. So yes, eventually, probably. I have a feeling that he'll probably be referenced in Morbius. And if he's not, it's just another missed opportunity. John, this movie is atrocity against the comic book fan base. Yeah, I'm not excited for it. I'm not a big fan of Jared Leto. I haven't been for a very long time. I think in small supporting roles, Jared Leto's fine, but I just can't take him serious as the character Morbius, and nor do I care. And just the look and the tone of this movie feels like something that Sony would have crapped out in like 2004. It almost looks like an Underworld movie. Like it looks like Underworld Part 3. Rise of the Lycans or whatever that was called. That's what this movie feels like to me. All right, Sony is not smart. I think that's the comment of the day. Sony makes terrible decisions, don't they? And thank God they ended up leasing out Spider-Man to Marvel/Disney. So those are my quick thoughts on Morbius. It's delayed, but are you surprised? I just needed another movie to talk about in January because really the only big movie coming out this month was Scream 5, and then we had Morbius. I was like, okay, there's at least 2 movies to review, and now I really only have 1. So that's really my biggest issue with it being delayed. Other than that, I don't really care because my expectations are down in the gutter. Actually, my expectations for Morbius are so low, they're actually in a toilet right now, and I'm going to flush it. And it's gone. And then it just clogged the drain and it's spilling out all over my feet. Because if Venom 2 is any indication of what this studio can do, then I think it's doomed. All right, so with all that, guys, let's dive into your questions. As usual, you guys know you guys can comment anything and everything you want to, preferably relating to movies, but if it doesn't relate to movies, that's okay too, because we can talk about more than just movies. And then I will answer your questions, but we're already about 20-something minutes backed up right now, and the first one comes from Gary Brooks, who says, hey, John, listening to the Batman soundtrack just gives me chills and gives me more hype for the Batman. Yeah, dude, anything Batman related, especially when it comes to the music. I could go back to 89 Batman with the score by Danny Elfman. That shit gets me pumped up. I can go to Hans Zimmer's scores for Batman. That gets me pumped up. The Bane theme instantly makes you stronger when you go to the gym. Trust me. So yeah, when this new soundtrack eventually... Is the soundtrack for the Batman officially released yet? I don't think it is, right? They usually release it like the same week the movie comes out. But yeah, I'll definitely be checking that out as well. And so far, from everything I've heard from it, I like the tone and the vibe of it. It definitely sounds Batman-esque, to say the least. One other quick update before we continue on here is I mentioned this in my previous vlog video where I said goodbye to my movie shelf and a tear trickled down my cheek. I will... In the coming week or two, I will be releasing these live streams as podcasts. So if you guys don't want to look at my stupid face for 2 hours, you guys can listen to my voice for 2 hours. I will release these. I will try to release them on iTunes, Spotify, and a few other places. So yeah, look out for podcast versions of the live show. Because a lot of people have requested that, and it just feels like it makes sense. I know sometimes it's difficult to open up your YouTube app on your phone, and then your battery's at 8%. And you're like, well, I kind of want to listen to it, but I don't want to keep my phone open for the next 2 hours as it dies. So I understand that. So audio versions of this will be coming soon. And I will release early audio versions of the podcast if you guys are YouTube members or if you guys are Patreon supporters. So look out for that. All right, let's keep going here. I don't know where I'm at right now. Okay, the next one comes from Carter Lovejoy. Thoughts on Paul Thomas Anderson's new film, Licorice Pizza. Also, are you watching the Book of Boba Fett? I did watch the first episode of Book of Boba Fett. I thought it was really clunky. It definitely caters, if you like The Mandalorian, I think it's the vibe you want to see, or at least it's the same vibe. And that's okay. I thought the first episode wasn't the best first episode to get you really excited to see Boba Fett returning once again in his own solo series. I thought some of the choreography looked a little slow and honestly a little bit bad, to say the least. And it also felt like there was a few times they implemented Mortal Kombat characters into the series. Like Goro shows up at one point, and then they have ninjas in the beginning. I thought those felt a little bit out of place, but overall, with that, I will watch it. It looks easy to watch. It looks mildly entertaining. I know the second episode came out yesterday, or technically today. But the series I'm actually really entertained by right now is Cobra Kai Season 4. I'm on episode 5 right now. I have 5 more to finish it, but that's what I'm sort of binge watching right now. But Book of Boba Fett, I think it's kind of a clunky first episode. Hopefully it gets better. If episode 2 is better, let me know in the comments. I'm curious. Or did it get worse? I hope it didn't get worse. I need something good in my life. All right. And did I watch Licorice Pizza? Not yet. I've heard good things. It's only in select theaters, and it's playing in one theater in my town right now, and I have not got a chance to see it. Taylor Goodwin says, what do you think of Season 4 of Cobra Kai? Like I said, I'm only on episode 5. So far, I like it. It feels like you could have almost combined the last 3 episodes into one. They are really dragging shit out. It just feels like everyone is the same every episode, no matter what. Like John Kreese. I'm watching Cobra Kai with a friend of mine, and we just laugh hysterically at John Kreese. Like, he's the ultimate villain of all time. It doesn't matter what logical thing you spew to him. You're like, no, listen, John, we could do this, and it's better for Cobra Kai. It just makes sense. And he's like, yeah, but Cobra Kai, no mercy. And it's just like, no matter what you say to him, he will fold his arms and just say, no mercy. It doesn't matter. It's like talking to a wall when it comes to John Kreese, and it's hilarious. Like, if you haven't watched Cobra Kai yet, just watch it specifically for John Kreese. He's an insane old man who just pops up in the most random places saying random shit. He's just pure evil, and I love it. Like, there's one scene where he encounters Daniel LaRusso's wife in the grocery store. he just shows up, and then he picks up an apple, and he just takes a bite out of it and leaves the store without paying. Like, I laughed for a solid 20 minutes after that. So that's my favorite thing about Cobra Kai. But like I said, I'm going to finish the final 5 episodes in a day or two. I'm sort of savoring the flavor, if that makes any sense. All right, let's go to the next one here. We got one from Shane St. Laurent, and he says, hey, John, thanks for keeping me entertained for nearly a decade. I have made my own channel and would love it if you could shout it out. It's just my name, and I talk about movies as well. Thanks, John. Well, yeah, check out Shane St. Laurent on YouTube. He talks about movies. And thanks for the super chat, man. Much appreciated. That's Saint, S-T-L-A-U-R-E-N-T. Saint Laurent? Saint? I think I said it right. But either way, thanks, Shane. Night King 01 has been a member for 5 months. Yay. Thanks, Night King. Hey, John. How was Cobra Kai? I loved it. Just watching Terry Silver on the screen was amazing and is perfect. And that training montage killed me. Yeah, so far in the first 5 seasons, there's some really good training montages that just, I love me a good training montage. I always have and I always will. They're outlandish to say the least, because there's one training montage, and I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to talk about some insignificant scenes in Cobra Kai. But there's like a training montage in a warehouse where like someone's climbing a chain and dodging baseballs. And it's like, how did you set all this shit up? Like, it would have taken 3 weeks to get all this set up and put together. And then there's another random scene where they're like training, running over, like jumping across buildings like Neo from the Matrix. It's just the most outrageous shit ever, but I love it. So yeah, Terry Silver, it was nice to see back. He actually aged pretty well. It looks like I think Terry Silver actually has some kind of karate skills, because I know the guy who plays him can actually do roundhouse kicks in real life. So it was pretty cool. We have one here from Alex Carr. If you remember, Sony delayed Ghostbusters Afterlife a few times as well. I think the reason might be they feel their movies won't do well during a pandemic, which is why I feel Morbius got delayed. P.S. It's now been delayed more than New Mutants. Yeah, New Mutants was delayed for 2.5 years, I believe. I remember at one point, I feel like there was a trailer for New Mutants in like 2017. It was supposed to come out in 2017 or early 2018 or something like that, which is baffling to me. And I don't know what it is with Sony. It's like, if Marvel can make money during a pandemic and multiple other movies that are good can make money during a pandemic, then I think you'll be okay. But then again, the thing is, with Sony, they don't really have their own streaming service. Like HBO Max, Warner Brothers, has a streaming service. They have an outlet to capitalize on their money after the theater. Disney has Disney Plus, obviously. So Sony doesn't really have their own streaming service, which I think if they did, they probably would have put Morbius out because they could capitalize on the theater and then capitalize with it on a streaming service of sorts. So maybe that could be one holdup. But either way, I'm just glad it's not a movie I was really anticipating coming out in 2022. And it's Morbius. So it's like, okay, I guess we'll watch it in April. And then it'll probably be delayed for 2 more months after that. Who knows? The next one comes from Joseph Knowles. Hey, John, just rewatch Mallrats. Ooh, I love me some Mallrats, man. Mallrats and Clerks are 2 movies I can rewatch anytime because they just take me to a happy place and they're relaxing to watch. I've always enjoyed movies where you just have characters like talking and hanging out in normal everyday places that you can go. Like if they could make a movie that took place in Walmart, the entire movie would just take place in Walmart. Yes, please. There's actually a movie starring Natalie Portman where she lives in a Walmart. I forget the name of it. But either way, that's besides the point. Let's get back to the question here. I love Kevin Smith movies, particularly the View Askew universe. Highly relaxing, rewatchable, and funny. Yeah, pretty much I think we agree there. I'm really looking forward to watching Clerks 3 as well. I can't wait for that to come out. I'm hoping it's good. I'm really hoping. It's like one of my favorite Kevin Smith movies he's ever made was the first Clerks. I like the second Clerks. I think it loses a lot of its I think it loses a lot by the donkey show scene in the third act, but I still like it. And yes, I did just admit to sort of liking a donkey show. Then the next one comes from Taylor Goodwin. You would think they would release it now. Doesn't it somehow tie in with the Spider-Man universe? Not that excited for it, though. Like I said previously, it would only make sense if they would capitalize on the success of Spider-Man No Way Home. Everyone's talking about it. It's big. You could sort of connect it loosely in some way. Yeah, you think they would tie it in. You think as a publicly traded company who want to make the most money, they would probably do that. But then again, when it comes to Sony, nothing makes sense. I mean, these are the same people putting out Venom movies that are just exponentially getting terrible as they continue on. Sony, I don't know what they're doing. Sony is capable of making really good movies, but it seems like comic book movies, they just can't quite do it anymore. I don't know what it is. Gary Brooks has become a member. Thanks, Gary. Beachbum0331 says, if you could get Mel Gibson to direct a movie of your choice, what would it be? I think Mel Gibson does a really good job at R-rated, gritty time period movies. And I think one of the most underrated films of all time is Apocalypto. It truly is. If you've never watched Apocalypto, go watch it right now. Mel Gibson can direct a movie. That's for sure. So I would say something like a time period movie. Whatever it is, I wouldn't care. As long as there's a lot of blood, violence, and gore, I think he will do a good job. But with all that said, here's what I'd really love to see. Well, then again, I kind of like the director that they currently have. I was going to say I'd like to see Mel Gibson come back as an old man in a Mad Max sequel, but I like the director that they currently have for the Mad Max movies, so I don't know if I'd need Mel Gibson to direct it, but I would like him to star in it as an old Mad Max. I'd much rather watch that than a Furiosa prequel movie, so... But go watch Apocalypto. Go watch it right now. Max Dugenbauer says, Happy New Year, John. Well, Happy New Year to you and all of you watching. I enjoyed Matrix 4. Really? Well, I'm glad you did, man. I hated it. I think it's the best Matrix sequel, and The Kingsman was very disappointing. It had so many flaws. I don't know if you're joking right now, Max. I thought the new Matrix movie was one of the worst movies I've seen, and it's definitely on my top 10 worst of the year, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. I thought the Kingsman movie was actually really boring. I was really taken back at how bad it was, because I liked the first movie quite a bit. The second movie wasn't that good, but after you watch The Kingsman, which is a prequel, it made the sequel to Kingsman that came out, 2017, 2018, look phenomenal. So yeah, the thing about the Kingsman movie that just recently came out, and it was directed by Matthew Vaughn, who is typically a pretty good director. I like what he does, but man, this movie was sort of almost tone deaf. Like tonally, it was like a different movie every act, and some of it just clashed. And then by the third act of the movie, Their entire plan made no sense what they were doing. It felt really underwhelming, and just everything felt really convoluted. It's like, well, we're going to continue on with the next part of the movie with this plot that's barely held together because this one guy sneezed on this other guy, and then he secretly knew the code to something that magically was handed to him. And it just was terribly written. So yeah, I was not a fan of The Kingsman at all. I remember everyone in the theater just looking like they wanted to fall asleep. And I saw it with a friend of mine, and we both agreed like we wanted to go to sleep by the halfway point of the movie. And there's also like a really bizarre character in the movie that's like a Russian priest who feels a little bit overly touchy, to say the least. And that's okay. That's okay if they want to have like outrageous characters. But he was almost to the point where it takes you out of the movie just for the sake of like being bizarre and stupid. So yeah, I was not a fan of the movie. DJ Run says, pitch a Nightcrawler theme park ride. Well, what would happen, the Nightcrawler theme park ride is you would be in like a little ride that goes through like this scenery inside of this warehouse that looks like nighttime LA. And along the way, you see all these like crime scenes and plane crashes and car wrecks. And then as you go by, like you have to take pictures on like a little, like you have to like video camera it. And then by the end of it, I don't know. How do you make a Nightcrawler ride? I don't know. I guess you could just really drive through downtown LA and it'd sort of be like a Nightcrawler ride. Just drive through downtown LA at 3 o'clock in the morning with a video camera, and that'll essentially be like the Nightcrawler ride. Just have a police scanner on in your car. But speaking of Nightcrawler, I've been saying this for years. Why don't we have a Nightcrawler sequel or TV series? With all the crap Netflix puts out, how do we not have a Nightcrawler series? That would lend itself perfectly. But that's just me. All right, the next one comes from Joseph Knowles. Are the Scream sequels good? I just watched the first one and loved everything about it. Do you remember watching it for the first time? All right, so the Scream sequels, in my opinion, aren't that good. I almost don't really remember. Well, I do. I remember Scream 2. And it sort of became meta by the second movie where they start making actual Scream movies, and then someone dies in a theater. Jada Pickett Smith dies in a theater watching the Scream movie, which was kind of a cool opening scene. But as far as like the third movie, I think Jerry O'Connell shows up. The fourth movie, it came out like a decade ago. I know some people enjoyed it. I thought it was instantly forgettable. Like, I don't remember anything about it by this point, and I've never had any urge to ever go back and rewatch it ever again. With all that said, I am slightly looking forward to Scream 5. As far as the first movie goes, I love it. I think that's a great mid-90s horror film that really took the genre and did something new and fresh with it. So I think Wes Craven did a really good job with the first Scream movie back in, 96? And I do remember the first time I watched it, I think we rented it from Blockbuster on a VHS. Yes, that's how old I am. We rented the VHS from Blockbuster back in 96, 97. And I remember just sitting at home watching it and being sort of blown away by like the twist ending, which I really enjoyed. I always thought the character Billy in the Scream movie was just a ripoff of Johnny Depp. Like, they couldn't get Johnny Depp, so they got a guy who looks just like him, acts just like him, has the same haircut just like him. But either way. And by the way, speaking of Johnny Depp, he was in the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, also directed by Wes Craven. All right. The next one comes from James Doshier. Have you seen the movie Red Sonja from 1985? I want to say maybe I have. I just don't recall it. I feel like I have. I feel like someone's asked me that before, but my brain just does not recall that movie whatsoever. So maybe I haven't. Someone said, rip Wes Craven. Yeah. Great director. So yeah, I don't remember it. The next one comes from Michael Parton, who says, thoughts on Sister Act. You know, the weird thing about Sister Act is, as a kid, I remember we rented the movie multiple times, and it was always like playing on HBO. And I actually sort of liked the first Sister Act. I even remember sort of being slightly excited as a kid watching Sister Act Part 2. I don't know, Whoopi Goldberg was like a big thing in the early 90s in comedy movies. So yeah, I now would I go back and rewatch them and probably enjoy them? Probably not. But at the time as a kid, I sort of enjoyed them. Jim Fox has become a member. Yay. Thanks, Jim. Stephanie Myers. Better body of work, Matt Damon or Ben Affleck? Thanks. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I would say Matt Damon probably has the stronger catalog of films with the least mishaps. Ben Affleck has some really good movies that I really enjoy, but he has probably the most mishaps in his filmography. I mean, if you look at some of Ben Affleck's past movies, he had Reindeer Games, he had Paycheck, he had what was the one with J-Lo in it? He played what was that called? What was the J-Lo movie and Ben Affleck movie called? Julia. I don't remember what it was called. Somebody remind me. I would, but Ben Affleck also, I liked him as Batman, but he never really had a chance to be the best version of Batman in his own solo movie. So I always thought that was a detriment. But with all that said, Ben Affleck also directed a few really good movies I enjoy. He directed Gone Baby. He's not in it. But The Town is one of my favorite heist movies of all time. No, not Jersey Girl. Not Jersey Girl. Geely. What is it? Is it Geely? Jajili. Is it Jajili? Am I stupid? Did I forget to read? Jajili, yeah. Jilly. Is it Jilly or Jajili? I don't know. Anyway, it was a terrible movie that nearly ruined his career. But either way, I love The Town. But when it comes to Matt Damon, man, think about all the films Matt Damon has done. But then again, they did start off their careers together. Then they had Good Will Hunting. They were both in. Ben Affleck was also in Fast Times, or not Fast Times. I forgot the stoner movie. My brain hurts. 1993. Dazed and Confused. I would say Matt Damon probably has the stronger catalog of movies where he actually gives maybe a better performance. I'm thinking of movies like Saving Private Ryan and some of his underrated movies that no one really talks about. But I think I might enjoy more Matt. That's a great question. It's I might almost enjoy Ben Affleck's body of work more than Matt Damon's. That's a good question. I might lean towards I enjoy Ben Affleck a little bit more. I never thought I'd say that, but now I have. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Ben Affleck, and Amariah says Ben Affleck as well. Bennifer is back. Yeah, I know. I just hope they don't co-star in another movie together. It'd be the worst thing ever. All right. The next one, Z White says, can you recommend me some vitamins? I think any daily supplement vitamin that has everything in it will do just fine. Go to Walmart, buy something that's a decent price. Just make sure, the best thing to do is go to Walmart, pick up 2 things of vitamins, and compare what's on the label. Whichever one gives you more with the higher quantity, just go with that. Now, me personally, I typically take gummy vitamins. I like eating them. They're delicious. Sometimes you can take 2 every once in a while because your body really does absorb that shit. I think any daily vitamin will do just fine. It's better than no vitamins at all. Now, the thing you really want to look out for is a lot of people are always stuck on vitamin C when it comes to immune health. I say look for something that has zinc in it. I think zinc is more beneficial to your immune system. So definitely look for something with zinc in it. You want some biotin in it. You want vitamin D3 especially. That's a really good vitamin that helps with your health and your energy levels. Not a lot of people get it. What's something else? Another vitamin you need. B12 gives you some energy. So just find a daily supplement that gives you all of those things. And if you can't find one that gives you all that, buy another separate supplement that has just that in it. You can take all of them. There was one point in my life where I was a vitamin addict, and I used to take 12 different vitamins a day. And it was just, it got to the point where it was almost too much. So right now I just take one gummy vitamin every day, and that seems to do the trick. Also, hang on. I did a sponsorship for this on my Matrix Resurrections review. Corey Krill Oil, a fish supplement with the best omega-3s. This is actually really good in the wintertime, and I'll tell you why. And it's not even sponsored by them. I don't think this company likes me very much anymore. But either way, Yeah, when it comes to omega-3s, those are really good, and these are good supplements to take in the wintertime, especially if you get like dry skin. Yeah, just my opinion. All right, let's keep going here. We went from Sister Act to talking about vitamins. That's why you guys should never miss a live show. Daniel Jones says, how's the love life going? It's going pretty good. I can't complain. Thanks, man. It's going pretty good. Can't complain. I'll leave it at that. Elijah Wallace, thanks for the super chat, man. Very generous of you. And let's dive into it here. Hey, man, just wanted to say thanks for all the content you put out. I've had a rough past couple of months, and your live streams and vids have helped me a lot. You've motivated me to get back in the gym, and your flick trips are legendary. Well, thanks, Elijah. Thanks for that, man. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I love doing the live streams. I don't think I'll ever stop doing them. I started doing these when the pandemic first kicked in, and I just figured it was fun to hang out and talk and have a conversation sort of back and forth. So yeah, man, thank you for that. It means a lot when people say that and watch the vids. So thanks, man. And good luck with the gym. Keep pumping. And yes, I do still work out. I know I look smaller than I did 5 years ago, but you can't maintain that for that long. That was like, the gym was my personality. And I just got bored of it. When you climb the mountaintop and you get to the top of it at that peak, you look down and say, oh, okay. And then you go on with something else. So, but thanks for that, Elijah. Jason Nelson says, Happy New Year, John. I finally saw Zack Snyder's Justice League. What are your thoughts on the direction they take the DCEU? Keep rocking in 2022. Yeah, I have a full-fledged spoiler review all about the Snyder Cut. As far as the new direction goes, the other topic of this video, I almost made it, was talking about the upcoming Flash movie, which supposedly retcons the entire Snyderverse of the DCEU and just pretends like it doesn't exist. And then they go a new direction, which I think is a huge mistake, because it looks like with every change that's coming in the new Flash movie, which is also written by the screenwriter of Birds of Prey, which was an abomination against humanity, it looks like they're changing all the characters now to be female versions of those previous characters. So now instead of Batman, we have Batgirl. Instead of Superman, we have Supergirl. And, that's not a very good decision. Like, there's nothing wrong with having female superheroes in a movie. Absolutely not. Wonder Woman, great. Wonder Woman's phenomenal. But they're even going to retcon that, supposedly, with some of these leaks. So to me, that's the worst choice, the worst decision the DCEU could make. I'm hoping that rumor's not correct. Or maybe they're branching off into like another separate universe of the DCEU where the other one still exists and they go two different directions. That could make sense to me, but if that's really what they're doing, DC's dead. It's dead. I don't know why you would retcon the things that worked. Especially Henry Cavill as Superman. Like, that man is Superman. The fact that they're not making another Man of Steel sequel, I don't comprehend. I think that's a terrible business decision by Warner Brothers. Especially now, like, with all the things they could do, with all the fandom going into it, all the new hype after the Snyder Cut, why would you not capitalize in Henry Cavill, who is, like, he was made for the role of Superman? Why would you not make another movie with him in it? And I understand maybe you can't have Ben Affleck back as Batman, and that's fine. Do something different with that. I understand, but to completely just undo all of these things and not salvage the things that were great, I just think that it's a big detriment. So I hope I answered your question. Yeaman John says, is George Clooney ever made a culturally significant film? I mean, Tom Hanks has Forrest Gump. Russell Crowe has Gladiator. Russell Crowe also has Master and Commander. Go watch that. And Keanu has Matrix. Pacino has Scarface. De Niro has Taxi Driver. That is a good question. Those are all great, valid points you put there. Has George Clooney ever made an impactful film, a culturally significant film, as you put it? I mean, he made Batman and Robin, which I think there is some cultural significance if you like rubber nipples. But beyond that, with a serious answer, off the top of my head, no. I mean, he's been in some movies I really like. Like, I like Ocean's 11, But is that like a cultural impact of any sort? Not really. Also, another Matt Damon movie. What else has he done? Up in the Air, I really enjoyed. That was a nice movie. But yeah, you're right. When it comes to like George Clooney movies, he sort of always just plays the suave, nice older gentleman with wisdom and gray hair, which is what I hope to be one day. But yeah, if you guys have like a George Clooney movie where it had a cultural significance, let me know right now in the yeah, someone said ER, which was a series. Yeah, interesting. Oh, and speaking of the DC EU, they say, you know what the worst part is? They're keeping Aquaman Jason Momoa. Yeah, because that movie made a shit ton of money, so making a sequel only makes sense. So it's baffling some of the decisions they're making. I really hope it's all just speculation, or maybe they're trying to set up like a Batgirl for like a HBO Max series, and then actually keeping Batman in that universe. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see the Flash movie. Yeah, George Clooney, always the charming gentleman. From Dusk Till Dawn, Gravity. Yeah, but once again, none of these are like culturally impactful films. You sort of just forget they existed. Out of Sight, once again, decent movie, but compare that to like Forrest Gump, you know? All right, let's keep going here. Josh Coffey says, thoughts on Peacemaker HBO Max TV series releasing next week. James Gunn, first of many HBO Max Suicide Squad spinoff shows. King Shark rumored next. I don't know how you make a King Shark spinoff series. Like, I could see King Shark being like a supporting character in a spinoff series, but to have his own show, actually, you know what? I'd love to see that. Just show me King Shark like going to Walmart and shopping. Yes, please. You know the thing with the Peacemaker series starring John Cena? I think they were actually hoping Suicide Squad would be a bigger hit than it was. I think they were hoping people would really grab onto it and it would have some kind of cultural impact and people would reference it and remember it. But I think like a month after Suicide Squad came out, everyone sort of forgot that it existed, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Like, I liked it. I thought it was entertaining. It was definitely way better than the previous attempt at the Suicide Squad movie, but I don't think it was that great of a movie, and I haven't really had the urge to go back and revisit it. So when it comes to Suicide Squad, I think they hoped it was a bigger hit than it was. That way it could actually justify having spin-off sequels, but now we just have spin-off sequels of characters that's people kind of liked in a movie that no one really remembers. So, in all fairness, I did like Peacemaker's character. I think he would lend himself to a spin-off series decently, but to have any more than him show up in another spin-off series, I don't think is necessary, and I don't really care about it. So, but I did like King Shark. All right, we have one here from James Doshier. Thoughts on the movie Hannibal from 2001. All right, that was directed by Ridley Scott. Now, not one of his better movies, and a lot of people don't like Hannibal from 2001, but me personally, I'm a huge fan of Anthony Hopkins, and especially Hannibal Lecter. I just love sociopathic serial killer type characters. They just really intrigue me. I love when they have this really intelligent dialogue where they just belittle people in the best, wittiest way possible, and then they eat their faces. I like things like that. Take it how you will. But Hannibal, whenever Hannibal Lecter's on the screen, I enjoy it. I think it's a really lackluster screenplay. And Julianne Moore does not replace Jodie Foster in any way. So it's a weak installment. It's a weak sequel. But I still enjoy it. I actually think Red Dragon, not the 1980s Michael Mann Red Dragon, but the Edward Norton Red Dragon movie, I actually enjoy that. I don't think it's perfect either, but I really enjoy seeing Anthony Hopkins in that movie. I like Edward Norton in that movie. I think it's like a fun thriller movie. So I think that's my preference when it comes to like other things in that same universe outside of Silence of the Lambs. Tell me more about Buffalo Bill. 5'9", blonde hair, blue eyes. Last time I spoke to him, he was living in the Philadelphia area, though he could have been lying. Let's go to the next question. All right. I gotta watch Silence of the Lambs right now. Legion X 420 says, John, have you seen the new movie? Thinking about renting it on my Apple TV. Oh, the new Resident Evil movie? Is that what you're referencing? if it's Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, I have a, on this channel, I have sort of a movie review / first reaction out of the theater, which is like a 6-minute video where I talk about that movie in detail. And no, I didn't. Visually speaking, there's a few times in the new Resident Evil movie where it looks like a Resident Evil game. Like, it looks like the first 2 games. And that was the best part about the movie. Everything else feels like a straight-to-DVD movie from 2002 that would have went in the $5 Walmart bin. That's what it feels like. So, no, I don't recommend it. And it's actually my top 10 worst of the year. So, the next one comes from 1901. You know what's funny? Martin Kove is actually a martial artist and practices Okinawan karate, which is hilarious given Kreese's hatred of Miyagi. Yeah, I mean, he's just an actor playing a role who actually has real life karate training. But I get the irony sort of. Yeah, I could tell that guy had some, like, I remember, like, he could do, like, there was even a behind-the-scenes footage of the guy who plays Terry Silver doing, like, roundhouse kicks in the making of the new Cobra Kai season, which I'm like, for a dude who was, like, 60-something years old, I was like, that's pretty impressive. Claudia Rogajon says, who honestly cares about Morbius? Like, honestly. Yeah, not me, man. I didn't care about it in the first place, and I care even less now. Like, it's going to be one of those movies that comes out, people talk about it for like one day, some people upload like spoiler videos talking about the meaning of the after credit scene in Morbius with little red circles and arrows pointing to them, and then 2 days after that, no one will ever talk about Morbius again. That's what's going to happen with the movie. It just feels like Sony's reaching down in the gutter and saying, all right, what comic book movies can we make now? All right, how about you just make the ones that you're currently making better? Like, make a good Venom movie. Like, take it serious. Make it good. Stop making it like this cheesy, junky movie that's just instantly forgettable. Stop wasting Tom Hardy. All right, we have one here from Carter Lovejoy. Pitch a movie starring Jared Leto and Nicolas Cage. I think that movie would be called Lord of War, and it would come out in 2005, and it would be about an arms dealer played by Nicolas Cage, and his brother is played by Jared Leto. So, by the way, if you haven't seen Lord of War, please go watch it. It's a great Nicolas Cage movie that no one talks about, but it's actually a really good Nicolas Cage movie. Probably my favorite of his. Also starring Jared Leto. Yeaman John says, you notice in the Batman trailers, Catwoman doesn't have her mask on, no secret identity. Also, she betrays Batman at the end of the film. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. Catwoman's always sort of been a selfish character who looks out for herself, and then she always sort of redeems herself at one point in another. So maybe she does betray him, but I'm sure she like redeems herself by the end of the movie or something. I don't know. I mean, that's what she's done in every incarnation of live action Catwoman movies. By the way, but maybe she doesn't care. She doesn't really care about her identity. If like another criminal or vigilante knows her identity, does it really matter? It's just really the authorities, as long as they don't know who she is. Yeaman John also says, your favorite and least favorite Bat Gadget. Do the rubber bat nipples with George Clooney count as gadgets? I think they do. I would say, honestly, favorite Bat Gadget would probably be, if we're talking about like the Batmobiles, that would be my favorite. But I also think like a grappling hook. I think if I had a grappling hook, I think how easy my life would be. Now, what would I do with it? I'm not quite sure. Like, what kind of height do I need to get to in my everyday life? But I would like a grappling hook that works, that shoots out of a gun. Maybe the least effective Bat Gadget. I don't know. Adam West's Batman had shark repellent, which would be useful in some situations, and they actually do make shark repellent now, technically speaking, but maybe the least useful if you were Batman in Gotham City. Like, why did he have that? I don't know. So I'd go with that. Beach Bum 0331 says, what's the best franchise that doesn't have bad movies? I'm confused by your question. What's the best franchise that doesn't have bad movies? My vote would be for Harry Potter, even though I'm not a huge fan. That's kind of a interesting question. I mean, the best franchise that doesn't have bad movies. I mean, a franchise like, I mean, Back to the Future, I don't think it has bad movies. I don't think the Dark Knight trilogy has bad movies. I mean, The Dark Knight Rises probably isn't the best of the trilogy, but I don't think it's a bad movie. Lord of the Rings doesn't really have bad movies in their trilogy or their franchise. Though the Hobbit trilogy, I think is terrible. I think did I answer your question? I think I did. Now, I think an interesting question would have been, what is the best franchise that doesn't have good movies? And you could say Venom. Like, Venom is a great property, a great character, but he doesn't have any good movies. DJ Run says, Happy New Year, John. What do your close friends do for a living? Interesting question. What do my close friends do for a living? My one friend is a manager at a warehouse in Seattle. My other friend is an IT guy who quit his job. My other friend makes YouTube videos. My other friend is a teacher. I'd say that's what that's what my friends do. Yeah. And I make YouTube videos. So that's what my close friends do. Johnny Carr says, just rewatch the movie Chronicle. Even though it has its problems, I still really liked it, and it's getting a sequel. What are your thoughts on this, John? I watched Chronicle once. I liked it. I thought it was a fun found footage superhero movie, and it was fine for what it was. I never had the urge to ever rewatch it once again. And then you had the director of Chronicle going on to direct Fantastic Four Stick, which was just, we don't even need to talk about how bad that was. So Chronicle getting a sequel doesn't really excite me that much, especially if they're going to film it with the found footage style of filmmaking. It's just like my least favorite style of movie. It just feels so disposable. It feels like the movie of the week. And it feels like maybe a movie that should probably go to Netflix. So I'll check it out. Am I that excited? Not really. Do I think there's a lot they could do with it? Yeah, absolutely. I just hope it's not like found footage. It'll be like, oh, guys, I'm making... But then again, in all fairness, if Chronicle, if it was rather than a found footage movie type deal, what if these new set of superheroes were like, I don't know, like YouTubers, and they recorded like vlog videos, like saving the day, and that was a whole thing, and it was like a YouTube channel. That could be an interesting element. I don't know. Just putting it out there. Seems like a movie Google or YouTube could make, but either way. The next one comes from Your Name Here. Happy New Year, John. I binged season 1 of Cobra Kai, great spinoff. Wish I watched it sooner. Which movie/TV show do you wish you watched sooner? That's a great question. There's a few of them. There's a few shows or series I caught years into them, and I actually don't regret waiting. For example, like Game of Thrones. I didn't start watching Game of Thrones until season 3 was already released. And then, but the great thing about that was I got to binge watch all 3 seasons back to back. Like, it gave me something to do for 2 weeks. Another one I watched a few years afterwards was Breaking Bad. I didn't start watching Breaking Bad until maybe like 3 years into the show. Another one was The Walking Dead, which had a great first season. The first season of Walking Dead was phenomenal. And then season 2 was okay, and then you got to season 3, and I was like, ugh, what happened? So those are a few shows I started watching after they had already been out. But that's fine. Sometimes it's nice to get into something after the hype kind of like dwindles away and you can just enjoy multiple seasons of the show. Or at least for me, that's what I almost prefer sometimes. The next one comes from Joseph Knowles. Do you like the Johnny English movies with Rowan Atkinson? Why can I not read his name? Atkinson. Thoughts on 1 Hour Photo and There's Something About Mary? That is a random slew of questions. Johnny English, I don't think I've watched Johnny English movies. Thoughts on 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams playing sort of like... he's not a sociopath. He definitely... What's the terminology for what Robin... A stalker? Ron Williams sort of plays a stalker who becomes obsessed with his family because he's so lonely. I watched it a few times. It's okay. It's definitely not one of my preferred Ron Williams movies. But speaking of that, I just rewatched Mrs. Doubtfire a few weeks ago. Man, that movie, Mrs. Doubtfire is a comedy movie they would never make today. Just some of the stuff he says in that movie, like the son walks in when he's taking a piss. It's a she, it's a he, she, it's a she. Like, could you imagine the outrage on Twitter from that scene alone? That's why it would never be made today. And also Something About Mary. I like Something About Mary. It's a good comedy movie from 1998. I always thought it was funny. I like Matt Dillon in the movie. Yeah, I liked it. Age of the Keyboard Warrior. And how am I 22 minutes behind on the questions? I feel like I'm talking really fast to the point where I almost want to pass out right now. He says, some want more Spider-Man films with Garfield and Maguire, but mostly Garfield. Is this a good idea? Now, before I answer that, I would need to know what the deal between Marvel and Sony is in the future. How many more films is Marvel allowed to capitalize on and use the character Spider-Man, and how many more movies is Tom Holland definitely going to be in with Marvel? Now, I've read a lot of reports that say there's 3 more Tom Holland Spider-Man movies in the works. So that would be fine. But the only thing is, if Sony said, okay, Marvel is going to make Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. We'll produce those movies, but we're also going to make our Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies in another universe. That sounds great. Like, it's just like more Spider-Man movies. But the issue is you sort of water down each franchise. It's like, well, like they're almost competing with each other. And I think that's sort of counterproductive in a way. So I don't see how that would work out the best way. Now, what they could do, and here's what I would do. I think if Sony really wants to make new Spider-Man movies, they need to make Miles Morales Spider-Man movies. And you could change the tone, you could change the vibe of it. You could make it feel like something completely different from the Tom Holland universe. But the coolest thing they could do with the Miles Morales universe of Spider-Man is this is also taking place in the same universe with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, to where he could be almost like an older mentor Spider-Man, where he could help support the main character of the movie and not necessarily be the main character. And I think if you had Andrew Garfield come back in that role, I think that would give fans what they want to see, and I think that would actually give his Spider-Man like more meaning. So that's what I would do if I was Sony, but we're talking about Sony. Who knows what they're going to do? I couldn't tell you. But if they do take that idea, they owe me 10%. I don't know. That's just an idea from the top of my head to you guys. Let me know if you like that. Okay, the next one. The next one comes from someone here. Where am I? Oh, Dan Peters. Can you explain to me what the purpose of having Agent Smith in the new Matrix movie was? Before I continue on, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck they were doing with the new Agent Smith. There was no reason for him to be in there. There was a guy sort of playing Agent Smith who was sort of like an antagonist in the movie, but not really Agent Smith. But they wanted you to know it was Agent Smith with shitty flashbacks to other previous Matrix films, which were better than this one. I don't know. It was like another version of Agent Smith in this different version of the Matrix, because you always need these characters to exist in the Matrix to keep the Matrix going. So I guess there always needs to be an antagonist to propel them and move them forward, or else the Matrix can't exist. But why did you put like that watered down version of Agent Smith in the movie? Like it just was like the Kmart version of Agent Smith. He wasn't intimidating. He wasn't interesting to watch. He had no screen presence. And it is the actor who was in Mindhunters, the series on Netflix, which I do enjoy. I don't know. Maybe Hugo Weaving didn't want to come back because he read the script of the movie and he's like, that's shit. I'm not coming back. So I couldn't tell you. Oh, man. All right. Yeah, I don't know, man. All right. And the next part of your question was, you said, I really don't understand what that contributed to the story, and having him playing someone not Hugo Weaving was just a stab in the heart. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know what they were thinking. Other than the fact that it was an obligatory movie where Warner Brothers is going to make the movie with or without the Wachowski sisters in it. So they came back and they just was like, and I think the Wachowski, or at least Lana Wachowski, I think she was like, you know what? I'm gonna make the new sequel, but I'm gonna destroy the franchise to where it can never be salvaged in future movies. And that's sort of what they did, in my opinion. Riley Johnston says, "Hey John, time flies. I remember staying up all night watching your videos in 7th grade, and now I'm getting ready for my senior year in college. Thank you for being awesome." Well, thank you for graduating high school. I like to think I had something to do with that. And good luck in college, man. Yeah, man, time does fly. It's been like, what? I started in October 2010. What is it, 2022? Like 11 years. We're going on 11 years now. It's weird, isn't it? Time does fly. It's kind of scary. Sometimes I get randomly recommended some of my old videos that I forgot I ever made from like 8 years ago. And I'm like, oh my God, that exists. But I'm so glad I made YouTube videos because it's always fun to go back and like reminisce. Thanks for that, man. The next one comes from Majestic Beast 01. What's a movie you loved back in the day but feel it doesn't hold up anymore? For me, it's The Force Awakens. You know, that's a great pick. I almost will agree with you on that one. The Force Awakens, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It gave me hope. The thing is, and here, I think this is why you might have picked this movie and I'm going to pick it as well. Had the sequels after Force Awakens been great and exponentially gotten better rather than worse, I think that would have been a good starting point. I think it would have been a fine starting point for the new Star Wars trilogy. But the fact that those movies got so bad and so terrible and so underwhelming to the point where you're just like, it tainted the entire new trilogy, that's why Force Awakens doesn't hold up as well. I think if like the second movie and the third movie in that trilogy were good, then you would have felt better about Force Awakens. You're like, yeah, I kind of want to go back and rewatch that because it leads into something I want to see. I think that's the issue. So I would actually agree with you on Force Awakens. There's also a lot of other movies like Captain America Civil War. I don't dislike the movie. I still think it's entertaining, but going back and rewatching it, it doesn't have that same rewatchability I once thought it did. That's another one for me. Jacob Kruika. You guys know I can't read. Would you tug on Toby's tube if it allowed you to shoot webs from your toes while dressed as Tiny Todd in a web-laced tutu? Yeah, I would. Thank you. Yeah, I would. Absolutely. I think I understand what you said, but as long as I can shoot webs and tug on some tubes with a tiny skeleton, I'll take that any day of the week. I have no shame. MVS, thanks for the super chat, man, but you didn't ask a question, but thank you. Thank you so much. Joseph Knowles says, you did ask a question here in a second. Okay, I'll get to it. Thoughts on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequels? Thoughts on World's Greatest Dad? World's Greatest Dad starring Robin Williams is a dark, dark movie. And it's almost a little too on the nose with the way Robin Williams' life sort of ended, because there's a plot point in World's Greatest Dad that's very, very similar to that, which is kind of bizarre. But World's Greatest Dad is definitely a dark comedy, probably very offensive to some people. I enjoy it personally. The Texas Chainsaw sequels, which ones are we talking about? Are we talking about the original sequels? Or are we talking about the new franchise or rebooted sequels? I think they're all pretty not good, to say the least. I think they're actually all bad. As far as the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie coming out on Netflix, I'm mildly intrigued by it. I do want to watch it. Best movie to watch while eating pickles with hot sauce? Man, probably like... I don't know. We'll just go with Silence of the Lambs. MVS says, if you have watched any of the following 4Ks or Blu-rays yet, Green Knight. I did watch Green Knight. Looks great. Visuals look great. I thought the last 20 minutes of the movie was sort of a slap in the face of like, hey, we just wasted your time. I hope you enjoyed it. Green Knight looked great, though. Visually speaking, that was a great looking movie. Beautiful. F9, I haven't actually not sat down and watched F9 yet. Will I? Maybe one day. I think I own the 4K of it that was sent to me by a studio. I will either watch the 4K of F9 or I will blow it up with firecrackers at some point. Cop Shop, I did start watching Cop Shop the other day. It looks great, but I didn't finish it yet. I did start watching it the other day because I moved and I hooked up my my new 4K player, and I was like, oh, I'm going to watch this, and I didn't finish it. Thanks for the question, though. Yeaman John says, what is the best entrance to the Batcave? I like Batman Returns entrance where its key is hidden in the fish tank in Wayne Manor. Whew. You know, for me, there's a few. Okay, so I really enjoy in '89 Batman with Vicky Vale being in the Batmobile, being terrified for her life. And Michael Keaton's just driving it quietly, just driving, and she thinks they're going to run into a wall, and then they turn into the Batcave. And just the music that's playing, it's like really intense and mysterious. I thought that was a really cool entrance. And then you had the one in Batman Begins where Rachel, she's been poisoned with a psychotropic hallucinogent. Where they fly through the waterfall into the Batcave. I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, those are a few. I think the '89 Batman would be one of my favorites. It's definitely none of the entrances from the Joel Schumacher Batman movies. Yeah. So I'd go with '89 Batman probably. Catholic Jack says, out of the two, Jessica Alba or Eva Mendes? Probably like Eva Mendes. I'm going to go with Eva Mendes. But Jessica Alba from like Sin City, Jessica Alba from Sin City, I think would be my preference. Mason Arnold says, did you hear that Kick-Ass is being rebooted? Personally, I think it should just be remake. You should just remake the second movie and leave it alone. Well, from everything I've heard about this upcoming reboot, which I guess the rights will revert back at some point because they haven't made a new Kick-Ass movie in over a decade, so I guess the rights go back at some point in the next couple of years or something like that. That gets me excited. I love the first Kick-Ass movie. I think that was one of my favorite movies for like many, many years. I think it did everything it possibly could to be like the movie I wanted to see, directed by Matthew Vaughn. So yeah, I am excited to see a new Kick-Ass reboot, and I'm fine if they just reboot it. Personally, I think it could lend itself to like a really cool reboot, and the fact that the original director is coming back, which gets me excited, even though Matthew Vaughn just directed the new Kingsman movie, which wasn't very good. But yeah, I've heard they actually want to go way more extreme and way more like R-rated than the previous installments were, so I'm excited to check it out. Duck Dodgers 24th and a half century says, that's a weird name, man. Rubber nips were just stunt nips. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. George Clooney had two stuntmen being his nipples for Batman and Robin. Jalen Martin says, did you ever write notes for your reviews? I write notes typically for most of my reviews. If I'm doing a sit-down review of a movie, I typically have some bullet points written down, maybe like 5 or 6 of them. Just little things I want to remember, or like little things I thought of like the day before I shot the review, or just complaints I make sure I want to mention. So typically I do have some notes. I don't script my reviews. I just have notes usually. And usually when I have the note, I'll have like a little paragraph under it. But just typing the note out makes my brain remember what I was going to say. So, yeah, sometimes I look at the notes and then I look at them once and I don't look at them for the rest of the video. So, usually, only for sit-down reviews. Mason Arnold says, I've heard rumors that Bane will show up in the Peacemaker show. Thoughts? I thought that was a rumor for a while, but then I thought James Gunn specifically came out and said Bane will not be in the series. I could be wrong in that. Now, would I like to see Bane show up? Absolutely. I think that would be a great antagonist for someone like Peacemaker to go up against in a show. I think that would be amazing. just two big muscle-bound badasses fighting each other, yes, please, I'll take it. But I think I remember James Gunn said he wouldn't show up. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, if you could put Bane into a new Batman movie, I would love to see that again. Like, give me the real incarnation of Bane in a Batman movie. Joseph Knoll says, worst Coen Brothers movie. I don't even think they've really made a bad movie. There's just a few movies they've made that I didn't love. What was the Oscar Isaac one? I always what was it? Oh no, A Serious Man. Did they actually direct A Serious Man, or did they just write it? Yeah, you know what? I'd probably say my least favorite Coen Brothers movie would probably be A Serious Man. But they've made a few other movies I just never really cared about, like Hail Caesar. I watched that once, and I was like, I'd never watch that again. So those would probably be a few of my least favorites. But my favorite is The Big Lebowski. Well, hey, man, there's a beverage here. And thanks to all 381 of you watching right now. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming to look at my stupid face talk about movies for 2 hours. It does mean a lot. All right, let's keep going. You guys are killing it with the questions. I'm doing my best to quickly cover as many as I can. All right. Jay from Chicago. Hey, Jay, are you from Chicago? I know you probably been asked this question already, so sorry if you did. But can you give a brief summary on your thoughts on the latest, not greatest Matrix movie? I have a full review of that movie. I have a full review over in the Flickpick channel. It's an 8-minute video talking all about my thoughts. To sum it up, I thought it was terrible. But, yeah. Did you know I do movie reviews on my other channel? Go check it out, man. Thanks, though. Claudia Rogajon has been a member for 5 months. Yay! Do you not like Morgan Freeman anymore? Because I don't really either. Also, why don't you like Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye? Do you want to know what's crazy? Do you want to know how, like, I am either like about to have a stroke or I've drank too much caffeine today? I just read that as, do you not like Morgan Freeman anymore? And you actually did not say Morgan Freeman. You said Aquaman. Oh, all I could see was like man in the thing. It's getting late. But could you imagine Morgan Freeman playing Aquaman? Now that's $1 million idea. Well, you want me to swim with fishes, huh? No, I like Aquaman. I like the first Aquaman movie. It's fine. Yeah, no problem. As far as Jeremy Renner, that's funny. I think my brain just wanted to read Morgan Freeman right there. As far as like Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, I just never thought he had like the screen presence for Hawkeye. I never thought they really did Hawkeye that well in any of the Marvel films. I thought there was so much more they could have done. Like, had they gave him, like, some kind of mask for tactical reasons, I think that really would have elevated him. Maybe he was a little bit more quiet and more badass at times. That would have been better. So I think it was just all those things combined that doesn't get me excited for, like, a Hawkeye series. I think Jeremy Renner's fine as an actor. Him as Hawkeye was... I was like, I think there was better casting choices you could have made there. But that's just my preference. Someone says Aquaman is an A- movie. I wouldn't say Aquaman's an A- movie, but what I would say is Aquaman is a fun, big budget B movie. That's what I would say about Aquaman. Excuse me. Aquaman sort of reminds me of like The Mummy. Like the first Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser is a fun, big, bombastic B-rate movie with a huge budget, right? That's what the first Aquaman movie was. It's just like unapologetic fun. The next one comes from OE Reviews. John, currently going through a big career change and could use some motivation. I could use a good motivational speech with you as Morgan Freeman. Oh, see, you put it out into the universe and it comes back. Now, we listen up and listen good. You either get busy working or you get busy dying. Yeah, man, good luck on your career change, though. I mean, just go for it, man. Just go for it. You got it. You got it, man. And thanks for the question, and thanks for allowing me to do a Morgan Freeman impression. Yeaman John says, even Brad Pitt, George Clooney's buddy, has Fight Club. 7 as iconic films. Clooney doesn't make an iconic film yet. I said that like you typed it. Yeah. Yes, you're right. Yeah. George Clooney just has never been in that big of an iconic role where he's truly played like a different character. He always sort of plays George Clooney. Even when he played Batman, he played George Clooney. So, you're right. I like the guy. You just have to put him in the right role, but he never really just... He really isn't a character actor, I guess is the right thing to say. The next one comes from Josh Coffey. Brendan Fraser is legit back. He's been cast in the new Aronofsky and Scorsese films. George of the Jungle is back, baby. Fat Brendan Fraser for the win. Oh, yeah, dude. He's a likable dude. And whenever there's a likable dude, you got to cheer for him. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. He's also going to be in the another new series. Isn't he in, like, the upcoming, like, HBO series for Batgirl or something? I don't remember. What Aronofsky film is he in? Joseph Knoll says, thoughts on Wreck? ? Is it just me or was the lizard laughable in No Way Home? Wreck, I don't think I've seen Wreck. The lizard in No Way Home was just obligatorily there. So was Sandman because they needed 2 more villains, but they didn't really want to bring back the actors. So they just used previous clips of them from other movies to tack them into it. And their CGI looked really lackluster to previous movies that they were in. So yeah, they were just sort of there as like obligatory villains to get punched. And I get why they put him there, because why, like, if you couldn't really dedicate the screen time to like another really interesting villain, why do it? So I get why they were there. It was just more stuff to tack into the movie to make it look more spectacular. But yeah, they were just sort of useless, to say the least. I just remember by the very end of No Way Home, the lizard is just playing tag with MJ and Ned. Like, just chasing them around. Like, I'm going to get ya. Like, that was really the only purpose. I laughed when he spoke. Do you like American Hustle? Thoughts on Dark City? American Hustle, what a terrible movie. Dark City, I've seen that movie once. I definitely would say, like, The Matrix took some inspiration from that ever so slightly. But I haven't seen it in a long time. Clint Cochran says... are you and Chris Stuckman still friends? I haven't seen a video collaboration in a while. Yeah, I guess we're still friends. We just don't really keep up that much anymore. I think life goes on. He has kids and a family, and he's doing his thing, and that's how life works, you know? So I think we're still friends, but I wouldn't hold your breath for a collaboration video anytime soon. That's for sure. So, yeah. Joseph Knowles says, one of my favorite podcast episodes of yours is when you discuss 1999 movies. Would you consider discussing another year of movies for the podcast? Yeah, we did. The 1999 overall might have been the greatest year for movies ever. I mean, it was just banger after banger. And I do remember recording that podcast back in like 2019. By the way, if you guys are Patreon supporters, go check it out. Would I do another podcast discussing another year of movies? Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think the next one could be like 2000s movies, talking about like all the movies from the 2000s that were like good or terrible. That could be good. But I would do it. Night King 01 says, what's funny is I think one of your best franchises has more misses than hits, and that's James Bond. Most of the movies are just cash grabs and bad. Oh, yeah, for sure. A majority of the James Bond movies from the 70s were just like shit. And then you got into the 80s, and you really only had one good James Bond movie, and that was License to Kill. And then you get into the 90s, and then you have GoldenEye, but then you had the sequel, which wasn't very good. And then you had the Denise Richards James Bond movie, which was just atrocious. Then you have Quantum of Solace, which was bad. Yeah, that you're right. That is one franchise where there's like 5 really good James Bond movies out of like 15 or 20. Yeah, fair enough. Good point. Yaman John says, you ever want to surf or skydive like Point Break? I always wanted to go skydiving, but I'm sort of like, I have this terrible fear of heights. And it's not so much the height, it's the falling to my death that terrifies me. There's some kind of weird, inside of me, I have like this really good survival instinct to where I don't mind danger when I can control the situation. But when I go skydiving, there's only so much I can control in said situation. So that's what terrifies me. Would I ever do it? Probably. Would I go surfing? I would try surfing, even though I feel like that's almost slightly more dangerous than skydiving, to be honest with you. The one thing that truly terrifies me is I want to go shark diving. I would like to do that. Now, I don't want to go like shark diving like without a cage. I would like to go shark diving in a cage around great white sharks. I can't think of anything more terrifying than that when I close my eyes at night, but I would like to do that at some point in my life. The next one comes from Elliot Cecil. I don't like your milkshake. I drink it up. I drink your milkshake. I drink it up. Drainage. Oh man, There Will Be Blood. I've been in the mood to sort of rewatch that for like the last week. Daniel Day-Lewis, man. I wish he would be in more movies. Now listen up, my good boy Eli. Let me hear you say it. Let me hear you say it. Say I'm a false prophet. Come on now. Let me hear you say it. All right, next question. Patrice Chaswick says, how about Venom and Morbius tying into Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield picking up straight after No Way Home? That could be a possibility. I could see them twisting and turning some things to make that happen, and I think people might like it. But I also feel like Sony would rather capitalize on the Sinister Six with Morbius and Venom leading into a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie where they could really get the most bang for their buck. But either way would work for me. If they want to just if they want to make Andrew Garfield the Spider-Man of the Morbius and Venom universe, so be it. I don't mind either way. So there's a lot of things they could do right now. And maybe they will. Maybe after the success of No Way Home and the newfound fandom or the returning fandom of someone like Andrew Garfield, maybe they could go that route. I don't know. Anything's possible. We'll see. Just don't put much faith into Sony making the right decision. All right. The next one, Josh Coffey says, Dark Universe is back. Ryan Gosling is Wolfman. That gets me excited about Wolfman. The fact that Ryan Gosling is going to be in the movie, that gets me excited. Nick Cage is Dracula, and now James Wan is directing New Frankenstein with Patrick Wilson as the monster. Yeah, Patrick Wilson, I like him as an actor. I don't know if he's like the right choice for New Frankenstein. A lot of Frankenstein movies suck. Like, do you guys remember the I, Frankenstein movie with Aaron Eckhart? Like, what the fuck was that? What was that? Terrible movie. But yeah, I am excited. The fact that Nick Cage is in a Dracula movie, that the last time Nick Cage played a vampire, it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. I'm a vampire. So I'm excited. Ryman 6000 says, hey Judd, Happy New Year. What's your favorite and least favorite Star Wars vehicles or ships? I think my favorite probably would be the Millennium Falcon, or maybe like the Death Star technically. I mean, I consider that a Star Wars ship per se. My least favorite? I mean, technically it's not a ship, but I would say the Moon Death Star killer base from Force Awakens. I thought that was really stupid. Like, that was fucking stupid. I'd say that's my least favorite. Technically not vehicles, but they're moon bases and they do move. So I'm going to consider them vehicles for the sake of this question. DJ Run says, can you do a Morgan Freeman impression counting down from 5 and saying Happy New Year? Not a very good one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. Next one comes from Chad Hogan, or is it Hagen? You know I can't read, Chad. John, who would you cast as the next James Bond? I think Henry Cavill would overall be the best choice. That he can do action. He has a look. He's from the UK. That's who I would cast. Maybe that's a little bit too obvious of a choice. I think if Nolan had it his way, he probably cast someone like Tom Hardy if he directed it. So, but I would go with Henry Cavill off the top of my head because I like an actor who you can also buy into being like the physicality and also having like the suave approach to the character. So I would go with that. If he's not going to be Superman, then make him 007. The next one. Patrice Chaswick says, I'm confused. Did the Wachowski sisters work on the original trilogy, or are they just stepping in for their brothers? I don't know if that's a joke, but that's a good joke. No, it's the Wachowski sisters now. So yeah, and only one of them returned for the new Matrix movie. So Joseph Knowles says, thoughts on Powder Blue? Do you like Get Smart? I saw Get Smart one time. Not a big fan of Steve. What is it? Steve? Whatever his name is. Steve Carell. Yeah. Sometimes his humor I just don't like. Like when it comes to The Office, his character is Michael Scott was my least favorite character in The Office. He almost ruined it. I just feel like everyone else was like subtle and slightly normal, and he just like overdid it to the point where it's like he should be in an insane asylum. Like I felt like he was trying too hard to be weird and kooky. So anyway, no, I wasn't a big fan of Get Smart. Powder Blue, I don't think I've seen Powder Blue. Is there a movie? What's the movie of Patrick Swayze? I swear it doesn't have the word blue in it. Is that what I'm thinking of? Maybe I'm wrong. Daniel Jones says, what's for dinner tonight? I had Chipotle burrito, double chicken. That sounds like diarrhea waiting to happen, Daniel. I actually, on the way home tonight, I stopped at a place called Culver's and I got a spicy chicken sandwich with fries and a medium vanilla shake. I consumed the vanilla milkshake on my way home, but I put the sandwich in the refrigerator and I'm savoring the flavor until after the live show. So that's what's for dinner tonight. Caden J says, John, I need more confidence. Do you have any advice? It depends in what sense. Do you need more confidence around women in social occasions? What you have to do is just tell yourself nothing really matters in the grand scheme of anything, right? Nothing really matters. So why is their opinion validated for criticizing you? What does it matter, really? I mean, I think just be yourself. I mean, you're going to have more regrets from the things you don't say than the things you do, depending on what things you say. But I think you just need to go out there, man. Just, I don't know, go to the gym, go to social things. It'll build up your confidence. Make a few friends, you know. And if you don't have real confidence, fake it. Just tell yourself you're the coolest guy in the room, no matter what. Because in the grand scheme of everything, I think everyone's a little bit self-conscious. And if you just know that going in, it'll be okay. Or just do the old trick. Pretend like everyone's naked. Which sounds kind of weird. That almost sounds illegal. I almost feel like that's advice you can't give in 2022, or else you'll be canceled on Twitter. But that's what I do. I want to be an actor, but I'm still having trouble getting out of my shell. Thanks, John, so much. Yeah, man, you know what you should do? What I would recommend, Caden, is you need to start a YouTube channel. Talk about whatever you're interested in and record videos and post them online. That'll build up your confidence and probably relate to acting in some way. So maybe do that. Maybe do monologues or maybe do impressions of actors from like famous scenes and upload those to YouTube. That could be one way to go. Your name here. Inside Llewyn Davis was what you were thinking of. Oscar Isaac and Adam Driver singing about not shooting them into space is why Kylo Ren went dark. Yeah, I saw that film once. Definitely not one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies. And I was thinking of that. But Hail Caesar to me was also sort of like really sort of a letdown. Jeffrey Warner says, thoughts on Devil in White City show about H.H. Holmes. that isn't that about the serial killer from the 1800s in Chicago that had a hotel that would kill people at one time? Martin Scorsese was attached to direct, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Is that the movie I'm thinking of? If it's not, correct me if I'm wrong. But the concept, because it's based on true events, there actually was a huge hotel that had trap doors and hidden passageways where a guy who ran it would kill people. And if that was an Airbnb, I would stay the night there. But yeah, the concept sounds awesome. I don't know much about the show as of right now, but it sounds great. Majestic Beast 01 says, worst movie, Die Hard 5, Dark Fate, or Rise of Skywalker? Whew. Those are all terrible movies. Those are all... Okay, Die Hard 5 felt... I don't even know what crack they were smoking when they made that. It didn't even feel like a real movie, let alone some mediocre action movie you would just watch on Netflix at 3 o'clock in the morning. Dark Fate, the production values weren't as terrible as something like Die Hard 5, but the creative decisions they made with Dark Fate really retconned the previous movies, which Terminator 1 and 2, and they retconned those decisions those movies made. So really, they deleted the best films in the franchise, which was just like a slap in the face. So I hate those. Rise of Skywalker just felt like, well, we have to make this movie. No one cares. Let's just poop it out. For me, the one that offended me the most was Dark Fate. Just the decisions they made with the Terminator franchise, and it was like another letdown. Because going into Rise of Skywalker, I expected almost nothing, and that's what we got. It was actually worse than I thought it would be. Dark Fate, though, I had some hopes, but So I'm going to go with Dark Fate. When it comes to the Die Hard movies, I like them, but Terminator is like my franchise, and Dark Fate just crapped all over it. Hunter12555 says, Ozark Season 4 this month. Yeah, I'm excited. Dude, we got Ozark coming. We have Cobra Kai just came out. We have Book of Boba Fett. We have supposedly Better Call Saul's new season's coming out soon. Dude, yeah, it's a good time for TV series. And also Stranger Things, I think that doesn't come out till like next summer, I guess. But, oh yeah, I think there's something else I forgot to mention right there. But I'm excited. Joseph Knoll says, thoughts on Public Enemies with Johnny Depp. Probably not Michael Mann's one of his better movies, and it kind of just felt forgettable. The thing about Michael Mann movies and his directing style is it really lends itself to certain movies, like Collateral or Heat, for example. He's the right director for those movies. But for something like Public Enemies, I don't think he was the right choice. Mason Arnold says, imagine the internet's reaction when the new Aquaman movie comes out and they see Amber Heard is still in the movie. Yeah, they definitely should have recast Amber Heard. Imagine if they would have had Daenerys Targaryen returning as Amber Heard's character in the new Aquaman movie with their greatest reunion of all time. But yeah, I don't know. Then again, I am really surprised that Warner Brothers didn't get rid of her, but maybe there was some kind of contractual obligation where they couldn't, or they would have had to pay her a lot of money. So maybe no one's really going to care when the movie comes out, because typically when it comes to the people who complain the loudest on Twitter, they're also usually the same people who don't actually like go see the things they're complaining about in theaters either way. So maybe the studio is like, well, we don't really care. Luis Javier Rubio says, what's up, Johnny Funk Man? You like Subway? I love the questions I get. I love them. By the way, we have like almost 400 people watching. Yay. Thanks, guys. Do I like Subway? Yes. Do I regret getting it 80% of the time? Also, yes. Sometimes it's really good, but like all the ingredients that they put on your sandwich, I feel like have been sitting around for like days on end. They're just in like plastic bags for years before they put them on my sandwich. And by the way, have you ever really thought about eating a Subway sandwich? You're basically eating a loaf of bread. Like you're eating a loaf of bread. Like how healthy could that possibly be for you? But with all that, yes, I do enjoy Subway. I usually get a meatball marinara sandwich, or I get like the spicy, or not the spicy, the chicken onion sandwich. I feel like I said that really weird. Whatever, the onion chicken sandwich, whatever that is. I feel like I'm saying that really weird. But yes, I do. Thank you for the question. Dan says, hey, John, thanks for checking my potato TikTok. Hugs from Brazil. This is Daniel Coolio, by the way, longtime fan. Well, hey, Daniel, how's it going, man? And yeah, I did check out your TikTok where you showcase talking potatoes. It's really interesting and bizarre, and it frightened me at the same time, but I enjoyed it. Thanks for the question, man. Phil HDX says, I know you're excited for the new Batman, but do you think it'll be better than The Dark Knight? Are you excited for the potential of the sequels? I am excited for the potential of the sequels. Also, when it comes to this new Batman movie, the thing about this universe that gets me most excited is it's slightly fantastical. And what I mean by that is when you compare like this new version of Batman to the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, which were like ultra realistic Batman movies, this is a little more comic book vibey. I would say it just feels more like a comic book rather than the Christopher Nolan incarnations. Those are great, but I also want more of a fantastical approach to Batman. Do I want something as fantastical as maybe like what Tim Burton did or what other directors have done, like Joel Schumacher with the Batman movies? No. But a little more like less realistic is nice, but still grounded in a way. So yeah, that's what gets me most excited about the Batman. I think it's the right tone of the movie. And as far as the sequels go, yeah, I'm super excited. So I'm curious to see how this movie ends off, where they go in the future, and maybe they introduce some villains we have yet to see in a Batman live action movie. That could be great. Or maybe fixing some of the mistakes of previous villains in Batman movies. I just feel like the one villain we probably won't see ever again anytime soon is like Mr. Freeze. Ice to see you. All right. The next one comes from Josh Coffey. He says, when do you think Johnny Depp will come back to movies? Dude was my favorite actor, and it's a shame what happened to his career, hoping for 2023. I think after the Amber Heard thing came out and the truth was sort of revealed, that he'll be back. I mean, Johnny Depp is a huge actor. I just hope he doesn't waste his time with more Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and he does something better than that. So I think he'll be back. I thought he was actually attached to being a new Pirates of the Caribbean movie or something. I could be wrong. The next one comes from Night King 01. Johnny Boy, I remember when I saw Terminator Dark Fate in theaters. I paid $22 for the Dolby Theater at AMC, and I've never regretted a purchase more. I just remember the first 10 minutes of Terminator Dark Fate and thinking, this is everything wrong with Hollywood and studios. The fact that they wrote this screenplay, the fact that 50 people read it and said, yeah, let's greenlight this movie and give it a $100 million budget. Let's get Arnold to come back. And then the movie got made. And that was like the best idea they could come up with. It's things like that that make me lose faith in movies. And I just don't truly understand it. So yeah, I agree with you. Chad Hagen says, best George Clooney, oh brother, wore out, oh brother, where art thou? There, I said it. Yeah, that's a really good Coen brother movie. Also another really good George Clooney movie. But George Clooney in that movie, even though he plays an escaped convict from prison in the 1920s, 1930s, he sort of just feels like George Clooney. I'm a Dapper Dan man, damn it. So yeah, I really enjoy it. It's probably one of his better movies, but he just still feels like George Clooney in the movie. Johnny Carr says, can you tell another funny job story? My job at the theater recently hasn't had anything worth an anecdote going on, and I need some funny shit to happen soon. Another funny job story? I don't know if it's a funny job story. I once worked at Jiffy Lube. I was an Upper Bay technician. I can change oil in a car, amongst other things. And this was back in like my senior year in high school. And I remember there was a lot of downtime during the day. And I remember me and my one of my good friends worked with me. And we noticed out in the front grass area of our building, there was like a little hole in the ground, and we walked over to it, and there was like 20 little bunnies that lived in this hole. And their mother had abandoned them and left. So I remember like we took some of the bunnies and put them in a shoebox inside and were like feeding them food. I don't remember what we fed them, but they ate it. And I remember like playing with little bunnies at my workplace for like an entire day. And then we put them back in the hole. And I don't remember whatever happened to those little bunnies. But yeah, that's what I did. So by the way, don't you ever go to Jiffy Lube to get your oil changed. Don't you ever do it. I assure you, they will fuck your shit up. So anyway, let's keep going here. Joseph Knowles says, would you lick Haas? The human hairball weighs 225. What the fuck is it? And the biggest hairball, does egg come on under the chick? What? Joseph Knowles, I don't even understand the question, let alone do I want to answer it. But you told me the biggest human hairball weighs 225 pounds? That's utterly disgusting. But thank you for sharing that statistical fact. We do appreciate it. Thanks, Joseph. Luis Javier Rubio says, which director do you think would be able to rekindle the Terminator franchise? Who can save the franchise and make it better than the Dark Fate universe they have right now? Really, when it comes to the Terminator franchise, unless James Cameron is coming back to make the ultimate Terminator sequel movie, I don't know. It's the biggest issue isn't necessarily the director, it's the studio and it's the screenplay. So I'm trying to think, like, I don't know, like, what director do I think would be a great fit for the Terminator franchise? Like, if Robert Zemeckis directed a Terminator movie, I would have some maybe faith in it. I'm trying to think of like another newer director that could do it, but I'm really trying to think of like a huge budget movie like an action movie. I mean, if Ben Affleck wanted to direct a new Terminator movie, I would have more faith in it. So, yeah, I'm trying to think. Unless it's James Cameron, I really don't care at this point because it's been screwed up so many times. But I feel like the majority of the directors they've gotten to come direct the movies weren't the right choice either. I don't know. Quentin Tarantino directing a Terminator movie, that would be phenomenal. Could you imagine the T-800 just sitting around having like a 25-minute conversation with someone? Like, that would be phenomenal. That would be great. I would take that. Yes. I wouldn't want to see a Guy Ritchie direct a Terminator movie, personally. Denis Villeneuve, or whatever, the director of Sicario. Now, that would be a director I would have faith in, directing a new Terminator movie. Yes, because I think it would look great. I think he would actually care about the story. That would be a good director. All right, the next one comes from, let's see, Obed Orzaga says, describe to us the perfect pizza. Go in detail. The perfect pizza for me is a nice thin crust pizza that's delicious and crispy. It has a multitude of toppings. It doesn't have too much cheese, but just enough to hold all the toppings in place. A little bit of spice is nice. You definitely have to have pepperoni, spicy Italian, black olives. I like banana pepper. I like green peppers. I would say that's one of my favorite types of pizzas right there. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, my Subway sandwich I was talking about earlier was a chicken onion teriyaki. That's what I meant to say earlier when I was talking about Subway. For some reason, I just could not put those three words together. The next one comes from... slow down questions. Diamond Vibes 27 says, hey, John, what are your thoughts on Total Recall? The first one with Arnold, give it to me all day, man. That was perfection. Like, those effects back in the early 90s blew people away. Today, we kind of laugh at them, but at least they were practical effects, and I just love some of the lines in Total Recall. Screw you! Also, some of the effects where the head explodes on Mars. Just, oh, man, it's so great. And plus, you had Sharon Stone in that movie. Yes, give it to me now. So I've always really enjoyed Total Recall. Now, the remake with Colin Farrell, I thought was the most soulless, bland remake of all time, amongst many others I can mention. But yeah, I like the first Total Recall. Guy from Kings Highway says, How has 2022 treated you so far? We're only about a week into it. I can't complain. Hopefully it's okay. Hopefully it doesn't get worse. But I have no faith in humanity. So I think a lot of things are going to change this year against our own will. But so far it's been okay. I can't complain. The first week has been okay. We're still here. Johnny Carr says, there's a rumor going around that Eric Bana's 20-foot Hulk is making a return in Doctor Strange 2. I think I mentioned this somewhere. Did I mention this on the previous live show, by the way? Did this shirt inspire you to say that? Now, if they do a lot of cameos like that in Doctor Strange 2, I'm fine by it. Why not? It's the right movie to do it in, so throw in as many cameos as you can, as long as they don't feel like stupid and tacked in. But going on with your question, yes, the one where the Hulk dog bites Hulk in the balls, and then he revenge punches the dog in the balls. Your thoughts? Not to mention, Nick Nolte was in that first Hulk movie, where literally they have transitions in the movie with comic book pages, which just feels like an iMovie like effect. Yeah, I saw that movie like 2 times. I hate it. But if Eric Bana's Hulk did show up in Doctor Strange, I'd be okay with that. Night King 01 says, I'd actually rather have Lou Ferrigno's Hulk show up in the Doctor Strange movie as a cameo. Imagine Lou Ferrigno from the 1980s Hulk show or the late 70s Hulk show showing up. That would be fun. Night King 01 says, David Lynch has a YouTube channel. Something about listening to his voice every morning on his daily videos is great. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I didn't know he had a YouTube channel, but I will check it out. Alto Voltage, I think I said that wrong, but either way, Alto. Just watched The Perfect Storm. Whoa. Yeah, it's a good Mark Wahlberg movie. No complaints, really. It's a movie based on true events about crab fishermen who go out and try to, catch some crabs, and then they sort of pay the ultimate price. I probably would have said, you know what? Fuck the crabs. We can get these later. Let's go back home, and we'll go back out tomorrow. But either way, a good movie. And it also has George Clooney. So, yeah, The Perfect Storm's not a bad movie. Your name here, call me crazy, but I find changing my oil therapeutic. And that's fine. I've changed my oil many times, but it's almost cheaper to go to a place and get your oil changed for you. And you also don't have to go buy the oil filter, the oil pan, dispose of the oil, get under your car, where you take off the little oil knob and the hot oil sprays all over your hand into your eyeballs. So for me, I just get my oil changed now. But yeah, I get it, man. I get some. You know what also is slightly therapeutic? And hear me out for a second, guys, and this will tie into movies. If you guys have a large screen TV at your home, cleaning your TV is a therapeutic, almost cathartic experience, because you got to buy the right kind of spray for it, and you have the little microfiber cloth, and you take a Q-tip to get all the dust out of the edges of your TV as you slowly clean it. It's almost sensual in a way. Am I the only one? Is it getting weird? Let's keep going. All right, I'm going to answer just a few more questions, guys. So yeah, please don't submit any more questions starting now, and I will answer everything that's remaining, or as many as I possibly humanly can. But the next one comes from Claudio Rogajon. He says, Hulk 2003 is one of the most boring movies I've ever seen. I challenge people to watch it to see how long they can stay awake. Dude, I remember seeing Hulk in 2003, and yes, you are right. It is boring. I remember falling asleep. I think I watched the movie once again on DVD, but I skipped over chapters of the movie to get to where he was just Hulk because I don't remember anything about it. I remember Jennifer Connelly was in the movie. I remember his purple spandex pants were the shiniest they've ever been, but really a bad movie. You're right, yeah. Age of the Keyboard Warrior says, is Godzilla done for this? Is Godzilla for this decade? What? Is Godzilla done for this decade? Would you miss him? No. The last few Godzilla movies I thought were just really forgettable. Godzilla King of the Monsters, I was like, Okay. And then you had the new Godzilla versus Kong movie, which I kind of thought was underwhelming. But it's like there's only so much they can do with Godzilla fighting King Kong. Like everything outside of that, where you have all the obligatory human side characters with their stupid plot points and they're just boring. Like if you're going to have half your movie with human characters and make me want to care about what they're doing, then make me care about what they're doing. But they just give you these like the most boring side missions in these movies where like you're like, okay, can we just watch the two big CGI monsters fight? And I did like when they had that final showdown. I think it was in Hong Kong or something like that. And I thought visually it looked fine, but okay, we've seen it. I think we're done here for a while. I just feel like this isn't a movie like people want to see nowadays. I don't know. Or maybe if they actually put interesting side plots in the movie, it would elevate it slightly. Dustin Rich says, can you do an impression of Jerry Seinfeld and Buffalo Bill's Well? Yeah, I think I can. Okay, here it goes. Oh gosh, I don't... What's with the lotion? First I gotta open it, then I gotta put it on. That's all I have. Don't you ever ask me to do that again. Obed Arzaga says, we had a wave of spaghetti westerns. Now we got comic book movies. What do you think will be the next wave? Well, the thing about westerns was, we did have a huge wave that lasted a very long time. And I mean, if you go back to like the 1960s and 70s, everything was a Western movie. And then people got more intrigued by space and sci-fi, and now we're on to comic book movies. And I think the thing with comic book movies are there's so many great stories you can tell, but they have comic book characters in them, which just gives you a really interesting main character, and then you can tell like an interesting story around it. So my favorite type of comic book movie, though, is like when you have a grounded hero, like Batman, or even Iron Man got a little bit bombastic towards the end of the Marvel movies, but like the early Iron Man movie, I like when they have vulnerability to them. I don't like when they're just the cosmic best of everything. Like Captain Marvel just takes me out of everything. And that's always sort of been the problem with Superman movies. Like he's almost too powerful. But I think we have another 20 years of comic book movies. Now, does Sony have another 20 years of comic book movies? I don't know. But if you make good comic book movies, they can sustain for a very long time. And I think it's a genre people aren't going to get tired of anytime soon. Because the great thing about comic book films, they transcend every age and every demographic. Like young kids love them. Older adults can enjoy them. So like they're a movie made for every demographic. When it comes to Westerns, typically speaking, it's like your dad's type of movie, right? So I think that's the thing with Westerns. Now, I love me a good Western. Like Django Unchained is a Western movie to me, and I rewatch that probably once a month. So I think I answered that question. All right, the next one comes from Claudia Rogajan. Why does he get taller in Hulk? Laugh out loud, he's a big gummy bear, giant toddler in the movie. At least the CGI looks good. Also, Connolly is terrible. Yeah, Jennifer Connelly in that movie was not one of her better performances. Well, you see, the madder he gets, the bigger he gets. And that's why. That's why. He's like a sponge. The wetter it gets, the bigger it gets. Or something else. What are we talking about? Night King 01 says, thought the entire day passed watching Hulk 2003. My entire life passed before my eyes when I watched that movie. And I probably could never watch it again. I think if you paid me $300, I don't think I would watch the Hulk movie again. I really don't. I don't think I could. But talking about it so much, I kind of want to watch it. But either way, guys, the 2003 Hulk is an abomination against humanity. And I think the Edward Norton Hulk movie is truly underrated. I think it's underrated. A lot of people don't like it. I'm like, why? I thought it was a good Hulk movie. Not the best, but decent. All right, guys, so with all that, thank you guys so much for watching, listening, and hanging out for a couple of hours. And thank you guys for the questions and just joining in. It does mean a lot. And I will probably this week start taking these live shows and making them podcasts on all of your favorite podcast platforms. And we have one more question that just popped up. And please, no more questions because I don't want to miss them. We have another one here. Claudia Rogajan says,
How does Hulk 2003 have positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes where critics just in love with Ang Lee's Hulk? Also, Nick Nolte literally choose the scenery. Rotten Tomatoes is crazy to me. Sometimes it makes no sense. Like, absolutely no sense to me. I don't comprehend it sometimes. That's why I don't care about Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't think I ever really have. Rotten Tomatoes shit on Man of Steel. But some of the other comic book films, they, like, put on some kind of pedestal. I'm like, why? So anyway, and then Claudia Rojan also says, yeah, but he's literally 25 feet. Because he was mad. That's why. He got big. He got big. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. As always, we talked a lot about 2003 Hulk today. I can only assume this is the reason why. This shirt is better than the 2003 Hulk movie. And by the way, I like the way it feels. It feels good. It's like not too tight, but it lays on the biceps just right. And yes, I do still work out. Enjoy that right there. Feast on that. As always, guys, thank you guys for your questions, hanging out. It does mean a lot. And everyone who showed up to the last vlog video I put up where I say goodbye to my movie shelf for one last time, which has been a part of my videos for like a decade now. Thanks for watching that video. It does mean a lot. That was a fun video to make. So if you haven't watched it, go check it out. I uploaded it 4 or 5 days ago. As always, guys, leave your thoughts, your opinions down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay safe. Bye-bye.